I'm just going to say a few words about Rachel. I'm very impressed that you have at least 3 skill sets that some of us would like to have. The first is, as I think we stated, you are a social media consultant and you're doing some consulting and work for the Knowledge Project, which we're very grateful for. And you originally you have a kind of interesting trifecta as an actor, a fitness instructor, and we'll hear more about Pure Barre from you. And you're originally from the DC area. You've done voice acting work as well as commercial work. And when you hear her voice, you'll know why. And your most recent big screen appearance was in Rhys Ernest's Adam, which premiered at Sundance about a year or 2 ago. A fellow actor connected you with the Knowledge Project, and you are helping to increase community outreach, which we all need and are grateful for. When you're not acting, your 2 other passions, which you'll tell us about, you're going to fill us in about what those might be. And we already have a hint in looking at your lovely backdrop there. So take it away, Rachel. And I'm Sheila, in case you didn't read my little blurb up there. And I've been hanging out with the Knowledge Project for 20 years or so, on and off.
So big thank you for Meg for inviting me to do this, and Sheila, your guidance on sort of rounding out what y'all are about to experience today. I'm Rachel, as Sheila mentioned, and one last time, I'm an actor, fitness instructor, and social media consultant. I came to the Knowledge Project from a fellow actor who was about to go on set, and Meg said she needed someone to do this thing, call Rachel. And, you know, one of those random times that you pick up an unknown number, and here I am. And that's sort of actually been my Pure Barre journey as well. So for those of you who don't know, Pure Barre is a mix of Pilates and ballet. And it's a workout, it's a franchise, so people can open these all over the country. And right now there's about 200 in the United States, and I think 5 in Canada. It is also a specific format, as in there is a way to say it, a way to do it. There's some technique that goes into it. But in all honesty, it's a workout. We all know what push-ups are. We know what planks are. We know what sit-ups are. We all had gym class in elementary school. And that's actually one of the first things I want to talk about. Who here, you can either show of hands or do a virtual hand, spent more than 3 hours staring at a screen today? Yep, thought so. Me too. And some people have done that more than once this week. Yep, me too. And while that's the world that we live in, something that I've experienced is that getting up and moving is really, really good for me. Mind, body, soul. That's kind of why they give us recess when we're kids, because it's like, we cannot sit here this long, computer screen or not. So the first thing we're gonna do today is make use of that mat or that towel, whatever you've got with you. We're gonna get our bodies moving, have a little bit of fun, listen to some music, and then we'll talk about the other reasons you came, and of course get into the social media, because that's all why we're here, right? So if you have something that can allow you to step away from your screen, that's gonna be best. You can keep it on, you can turn it off, that's entirely up to you. Let's have some fun. So you can come to standing in your space. And we'll get used to this music here. So your feet are gonna come hip width apart and parallel. Take a soft bend in your knees. Stack your palms in front of your chest, elbows wide, then lift your knees right, left, lift the knees side to side. So you're taking a big march here, starting to warm up your body.
Rachel, do we want to put you on speaker view?
Perfect.
Okay, let's do that.
Keep lifting, take your arms up, go lift and lift. So your arms are long overhead. Nice, yes. Have a big pull down, go pull, reach, squeezing your elbows into your waistline. Now add a rotation, take it opposite elbow to opposite knee, twist and twist. Twisting through your waistline. Now take it back through center. for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Awesome work. Coming down to the ground on your mat. Curl into a tight ball to the chest. Then send your legs on the diagonal at a 3/4 bend. Feet are hip width apart, parallel. Flex your feet. Glue your knees together. Arms long by the side. Pump the arms. Go pump. 2, 3, 4. Legs lift. Lower. You pump. 2, 3, 4. Lift and lower. So your shoulder blades are high off the ground. Your abs are engaged as you pump your arms down like you're slapping water. Yeah, be nice. Now start to add your breath. You take it, inhale and exhale. One more set, pump, 2, 3, 4, lift and lower. Now bend knees, rest the head. Curling back up to the chest, send your legs to the sky, knees together for the apart, flex the feet. Hands go behind your head, close the elbows in so they tap your thighs. Now open to count so the leg goes lower. 2, curl in. For 2, you take it lower, open, squeeze, lift and close. Shoulder blades stay high. Core engage, you got this. Hold it open, rotate to your right. You squeeze the thighs, curl up to the right. 1 squeeze, 1 curl. Now if this is not your game, you can set your feet down to the ground, making it a little bit of a smaller range, supporting your back a little more. Now put it together, you go, squeeze, curl, a little up and up. Nice, yes. So strong. Beautiful. Last one, come center, take it to the left. You squeeze the thighs, curl up. 1 squeeze, 1 curl. Giving yourself the challenge here to stay in it. Yes, you can. You are this strong. Now put it together. You go, squeeze, curl. Little up and up. Your belly button is pulling down towards your spine.
Oh, Jesus.
Come back center, lift the legs, elbows go close, lower open, lift close, lower open. A little smaller than how you started. Last one, hold it long, you just curl and curl. You rest in 10, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you can, that's 7, 8, 9, 10. Enemies arrest the head. Sending the feet back out to the ground. 3/4 bend, feet flexed, knees together, arms up. A slow sit up. Roll up 4 counts. You go arms, chin, abs, reach. So lower. 2, 3, and 4. You take it up. 2, 3, 4. Then roll back down. 2, 3, and 4. If you want to make this a little bit of a smaller range, you can. Nice. Last one, hold it up, round the waistband down, squeeze the thighs, just squeeze and squeeze. Think about rounding through the C curve in your low spine. You're good for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Carefully coming up around to the front side of your body. Elbows underneath your shoulders, into a forearm plank. Feet are hip width apart, parallel. Draw your abs in. Take your hip bones towards your rib cage. Isometric pull right here, just hold. So isometric pull means your muscles are engaged. You are working, but you are not moving. This is where you find your focus for the rest of these couple minutes. You're in this forearm plank for 90 seconds. The good news is you're already through the first 30 seconds. Let's add in some motion. Your heels press back, hold. Press back, freeze. Pressing back just 1 inch. Think about keeping your back flat. Taking the arch out of your low spine. Pressing your shoulders away from the ground. That's your halfway point. You got this. If nothing else today, you can stay through the plank for 90 seconds. Speed it up. Go. Press back. Press back. This is where you finish. You can always drop to your knees, flattening your shins to the ground. Just keep one long line from your head towards your heels. Awesome, yes. You've got 10 more. Then you're up to straight arms. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yes, 9, 10. Press up to straight arms. Hands wide, soft elbows. Draw your hips towards your rib cage. Little pulse. Press. Little down, little up. Taking a tiny bend in your elbows. Last one. Take your right hand center. Stack your hips. Reach the left arm up in a side plank. Finding a rainbow arch for your obliques. You just hold it here for 5, 6, 7, 8, yes, 9, 10. Coming back, center switch sides. Left hand down, stack your hips. Right arm up. Isometrical here. If you're out of your strong arm seated, you hold for 7, 8, 9, 10. Coming back through center. Hands wide. Reach up your hip, elbows bend down. 2, then press up. For 2, slow push-ups. Lower. 2, then press. For 2. You have always the option to take your knees down towards the ground. Last one up here. Holding up. Knees to the ground. Heels to the seat. Point your toes. Tempo. Your arms don't bend. Press. Big bend. Big press. You lower down. Push away. Now think about shifting your hips towards your hands. Hold it up. Walk your hands under your shoulders. So your fingertips are forward. Elbows in tight. Slow it down. Go bend. For 2, then press up. For 2, you go down. For 2, then press away. For 2. Position is working your triceps. One last one, slow. Speed it up, tempo, go bend. Press, big bend, big press. This is where you finish. Already at 5. Get low for 6, 7, 8. Almost there, that's 9. Final 10, yes, nice. Shift your weight back. Feet to the sky, chest to the ground, arms reach long. Take a nice big inhale. And exhale, carefully rolling up. Your head is last to lift. You made it. You've done your physical activity for the day. A for all in gym class. Awesome work. So you all get situated back towards your seat, being able to take a seat and look at your computers, phones, what have you. I'll tell you a little bit how I came across this entity that you just experienced. I grew up dancing and acting, and I had done a show where I was doing lots of turns on hard floor, and I could really feel it in my knees, which was not very fun. And someone said, oh, Pear Bar is really great. And someone said, this is a really great high intensity but low impact workout, which means it's good for your joints, because I want to be able to get old and travel. And so I started doing this workout and I loved it. And they asked if I wanted to teach. I was like, yeah, absolutely. But I was moving to New York. And that doesn't really work for them because they invest a lot in someone to become a teacher. So I moved here, and the studio from down there connected me with one up here. She was like, yeah, I'll let you, please audition when we have auditions. And I said, great. So I came to the audition, and when I knew it was between me and one other girl. And all said and done, and she ended up getting it. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And another opportunity to audition came up about a year later. So I did it. And that time I was a little bit more aware of what anxiety meant for me. And afterwards I was like, well, I did everything fine, but I know I was kind of nervous. And I think I didn't sound very good. It's like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. Didn't get it. Okay. And then I was doing another job, and I was mad at one of my bosses for something. And I had seen another opportunity for a teaching audition. And I was like, screw it, I'm doing it this time. So I auditioned again. And what do you know? The third time's the charm. Because what happened was, just like you heard me count to the final 10, at that I was halfway through. I was at 5. And I could hear myself being kind of dull and robotic. And that's when I caught it and was like, this is not me. I am not a dull person. I'm not a robot. I need to have fun with this. And I was able to switch gears. And that moment, that permission to be different, was what made the difference. And I got the job. And that was about 2 years ago now. I'm now trained in 3 out of the 4 formats that Pure Barre has. So what do you know? We're 15 minutes in and we've already covered my first two out of 3 points. The first one, move your body. If you get stuck, if you're trying to write something, if you don't know what to do, staring at the same screen and trying to do the same thing and expecting a different result is the literal definition of insanity. Do something different. I personally find this is quite nice. I like the music. I think it's very uplifting. But whatever works for you. Go for a run, go for a walk. Lay on your floor and do yoga. Doesn't matter. Something different that doesn't involve staring at your screen. And the second one, as I said, is the permission to be different, to be yourself, to not have to pretend to be someone else, because I'm pretty sure everyone here knows what it looks like when someone's faking and they're like, hi. You're like, that's not a real person. So you can be personable and fake at the same time. But the piece is like, be yourself, because there is no one else like you. And that permission to be different is sort of what has continued to guide me. And I have clients that'll follow me all around the city now, which is like, that's kind of cool. And the last piece, which is probably the most important, is giving yourself grace while you're learning. So I did not instantly become good at what I just did. It took a lot of time. I'm not gonna lie, there were tears involved and a lot of effort. And the ability to say, I'm new, I'm allowed to not be perfect, is what made it so that I could keep doing it. And that those 3 pieces have continued to apply to social media, which is what we're going to talk a little bit more about today. But first I wanted to get us up and moving, getting our creative juices flowing. So now that everyone's sat a little more comfortable, does anybody want to fill me in on what you're hoping to get out of today?
I would love to get out of this that freedom of movement we just had, and how to link that up with that freedom of expression, maybe on social media and in our interactions with others.
Cool.
Okay. I'm open to suggestions.
Awesome. Yeah, Adam, go for it.
I think also I want to learn how to not limit myself when it comes to how to express what I am, what I do on social media. I think I also want to be inspired by you today a little bit.
Cool. Anybody else?
I probably want to learn a little bit more, because usually I'm on social media, but I'm not like showing my face too much. So, but maybe in that perspective and show a little art that what I can do. And
Cool.
so
Awesome. Wendy? I think I saw a hand there.
Yeah, whoever, you may have to unmute yourself.
Okay. Anyway, I would just like to learn how to chill and de-stress during these horrible times. I think that is so important. And I like your idea about going out into nature and dancing, because those are 2 of my favorite things in life. Seriously.
Same. Anybody else?
I'll just echo what people have said. I love moving. It's actually a big problem. One of our other writer friends who's not here, how do you work as a writer when you have to sit in front of a screen and not move? So somehow doing these mini exercises, either on your floor or taking a walk, really does, I've just noticed, it really does enhance the creative brain. So I want to hear more from you about that. And we all want to get better and faster and more efficient at social media, because it can take over everything. Some people are nodding their heads. So all of it. Yeah.
So the first thing I heard, Lauren, was time management. And I'm 100% sure if I asked you to raise your hands, everyone here would raise their hand that they have spent more than an hour on more than one occasion just scrolling. So my first rule of social media management as an entity to actually communicate your brand, whatever that may be, is to set a timer for yourself. So you set the timer for, start with 15 minutes. In that 15 minutes, whatever you get done, and then put it down. Especially as you're new, it can be super overwhelming because there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of platforms. Each platform sort of has its own rules. So that is your first guiding lesson, is to set yourself a timer and to limit your time. The second thing is almost more important than the time itself. And that actually brings us to our second exercise of the day, which is your brand. And when I say your brand, that could mean whatever you're trying to communicate. So whether you're just trying to share your personal entity, who you are, your creative spirit, your art, hey Teresa, whatever else you've got going on that you want to share, that is your brand. So Rachel, as a brand, just like you heard in my intro, I have 3 words: actor, fitness instructor, social media consultant. So I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes, and I want you to come up with 3 words that describe you or your brand. So if you're trying to sell a product, 3 words to describe the product. If you are trying to sell art, 3 words that describe your art. If you have a business, like I know Patty has a travel business, if that's your thing, 3 words to describe it. And if you have some extra time, think about 3 images that go along with it. So we're going to start some music as well. You have 3 minutes, go, enjoy. One of the other things that especially the younger folk here on here can think about is also, if you're applying for schools, what kind of things are you looking for in a school, and what about you fits with that school? Because those are things you want to think about, especially if your social media is public. Because if they go searching out who's Adam Cabo and you're applying to music school, I want to see your music. Whether or not you really think about it, it's like the subliminal stuff that's in people's heads. Like any information that's available, you can use to your advantage. And that's the one of the more beneficial ways to think about social media, is that you have, for example, in an Instagram grid, your like grid of 9, that's your little art space, your little gallery that you can show people who you are, what you do, what you want to do, even who you want to work with. If there's other artists that you want to work with, shout them out, give them some praise. So all of those are ideas that you can do that also will, fun fact, help in your engagement. And as you're thinking, so something that engagement is important for is building your audience, because we all have the friends that we know in real life, which makes our circle about this big. But when you can start to reach the people that you don't know, whether it's friends of friends or outside family, makes your circle this big. And when you can reach people virally, it makes your circle this big. So that's how many more people that you can share your art with, your personality, your knowledge, whatever that may be. So if you're Adriana, the more people that she can reach with her voice acting business means either the more people that could hire her individually or hire the business to find other voices if hers is not quite it. All right. Does anybody want to volunteer to go first? Just means you get the first feedback.
I will, Rachel. I will. Rachel, I will.
Great.
Um, the three things that I do were the first three words that came to mind. One is tech writer, voice actor, and dental hygienist. Those are the three skill sets that I have. The words that I would use to describe those would be articulate, engaging, warm, or friendly. And the image that I use as a background on my splash screen on my website is a beach scene sort of at sunset to relax people. That's kind of what I do in the tech writing. I try to take engineering vernacular and make it easily understood for people to follow directions on how to operate a, right now I'm writing for X-ray specimen systems and how you start that machine, what you do with it, and how it works. So engineers give you information that is, they skip a lot of steps and they give you vernacular that is like, what does that mean? So I'm very good at translating that into very easily understood, readable language. So that's kind of what I do. And I would like your suggestions on how to improve on that.
Well, so that is actually one of the next biggest things about social media. I'm glad you went first, Mary. Thank you.
Good.
Especially now that we all stare at screens a heck of a lot more. There is the piece of catching someone's attention quickly, saying what you need to say, and only saying what you need to say,
Mm-hmm.
and doing a call to action. So if you are trying to sell something,
mm-hmm.
you might do something fun and funky like, Woman Crush Wednesday, check out Mary, our best dental hygienist. Click to book your appointment. So there were 3 sentences. I've used a hashtag, which kind of helps you expand to things outside of your immediate field, your immediate following. I've given you a person. I put a name to an entity, so it makes it more relatable. And I've given you an action to book your appointment. So those are in less than 2 sentences, 20 words. And what's even better about that is that works for Facebook, for Twitter, for Instagram. For those of you who are not aware, on Twitter specifically, you have 280 characters, and that includes a portion of your link if you're posting a link.
Mm.
And if you happen to be able to do a link, great. That makes it faster and easier for people to go, oh, I want to book with Mary. I know her. I like her. She looks nice. She's not going to hurt my gums. That's the thing.
Yep.
So
Okay. Those are great tips. Thank you.
You're welcome. Adam, go for it.
I put down drummer, actor, and gardener, but I have a question about these titles. If I don't necessarily have like the most experience in something like gardening, because I don't have the most experience, I just started, I'd say maybe like 4 months ago. My dad's a horticulturist. He's retired, so he feeds me a lot of knowledge about horticulture and agriculture, and I'm just starting now. Is that something I can still put, or do I put aspiring before that?
Oh my God, put whatever you want. Nobody's gonna like check your history, but also that's like, are you on either TikTok or Snapchat?
No.
Cool. Just curious. I am only on TikTok for one of the companies that I work for. I personally am not on it. I'm always curious, especially with like younger people, who's on what. Anyway, the point being, especially with stories or anything that's a little bit shorter but video, that's definitely like a really great, the kind of thing where you can show progress. So you are learning, and just like anyone who's tuned in today, like you wanted to learn something. So it's kind of nice to be able to share your journey. Like, yeah, I'm an artist. This is what I do to relax. I'm kind of having fun learning this thing. And like, I could just spend time with my dad. Like, people like the piece of connecting. That is the first reason social media was created in the first place, was to connect. Mark Zuckerberg had less intentions, but his point was still to connect. He wanted to girl.
So do you say like in terms of the gardening, when spring comes, we're gonna sell produce and different things. Would you say that I should make like a story highlight or something to track the progress?
Absolutely. Digging the ground, putting in the seeds, watering your seeds, the first sprout.
Yeah. Okay.
The way that you can do, more fun. And
Thank you.
my experience as well is if you can add a hashtag to it, that's kind of unique. So hashtags, hashtags have two sides to them, as do most things. If you have ones that have a lot of stuff, so for example, Woman Crush Wednesday, which I spoke about with Mary, is a very popular hashtag, which means your likelihood of getting seen from it, questionable. When you type in specifically for Instagram or Twitter, when you start to type in a hashtag, it'll try to autofill with other options. On Instagram, it'll tell you how many times that has been used. So the likelihood of being seen, you want a hashtag to be popular enough that people might be searching for it, but not so popular that you have no chance of reaching it. So one of the hashtags that I use for one of the brands that I work for is Fashion for a Cause. It's got about 50,000 hits, as opposed to Woman Crush Wednesday, which has 30 million or something. So the numbers make a difference. And that's often like taking the time to type it in when you're in the app. But yeah, you can type in a bunch of them and see which one fits that's kind of within the window of what you're looking for. Also on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you can tag your location. So for example, if you're in New York or if you're upstate, wherever you might be, tagging your location helps people who are around you find you, even if they don't know you. So they might be looking at like, what's going on in New York? And like, Adam's got his rooftop garden. That looks cool. Where do I get that produce? And then he's got the next post, which says, we're selling at the Union Square Green Market. Catch us on Saturday at 10 a.m. Those kinds of things are also useful.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm also happy to go over like the general rules of what goes on which platform, if that would be helpful. Yes. Okay, I'm seeing nods. All right, so Facebook is mostly your friends and family kind of platform. So think about what Nana wants to see, whether it's a video, a news article, your face with your newest plant. That is the kind of people that you're trying to reach on that platform for the most part. Links are helpful and useful. Let's see, then getting into Instagram, it's the same shape of what you put on Facebook. So if you're curating your own, if you're making your own content, you could put the same thing on Facebook and Instagram, but the way that you tag it would be a little bit different. On Instagram, you can use hashtags and they're actually useful. On Facebook, they're not. And then as you get into Twitter, links are useful again, whereas links in Instagram are not so useful unless you put it in your bio. And if you have a lot of links, then you should use something like Linktree. So you can have one thing, people click on that, and then you can have multiple links within that Linktree. So if, for example, you've got your music on Vimeo, then you can put a link to each thing. So you can post a clip of the set and then post the full video and say, check the link in bio for the full 2-minute set. Something like that would be fun to do on a Thursday and do your own rendition of something classical and like twist it, make it different. You could say like throwback to Sebastian Bach, except my way. So there's things that you can always, so the piece of how movement translates into your social media is the piece of getting your creative juices flowing. So we just did this 7-minute thing, right? My brain and body right now are on fire. Like it's easy for me to come up with Mary's thing and Adam's thing and Adriana's thing, like because my brain and body are in one place. I've grounded, I've gotten warm. My brain is active and ready. And so that's always why I encourage people to move first. But especially if you're stuck, move, do something, don't sit there.
I wrote producer, voice artist, filmmaker. And then I kind of correlated ones for each of those in order. So for producer, because I do a lot of corporate work, I put representing your brand. You know, so I have to mirror what my clients want visually and, you know, also with the voice. And then for voice artist, I put connectivity because we have to connect to who they are and their message. And then filmmaker, I wanted to say stretching to the unfamiliar or new areas. I've made films about things that aren't in my background. Let's put it that way. And I had to learn about it. And I consider that an asset. Some reviewers did not, but I actually like the idea, and it took a long time, but I like the idea of stretching into that was the other word. Stretching into new areas or starting to, when I feel something uncomfortable, I want to go to that unfamiliar place and see what else I can learn. So I don't know how that all fits in with how you add that all up and how I can brand myself better.
So the first thing that comes to mind, especially because I'm looking at your background, your D² media. So you've got this box, right? I almost want to see that. And then I want to see you step outside of the box.
Yeah.
because both of those are part of who you are. Is like, I can fit your corporate what you need. I have that experience, but I'm also a creative. Because that I think is what I'm hearing you say. The connectivity, the communication is part of anything. You know, that's even your college essay. Like you need people to be able to understand what it is that you want to do and where you fit. Because people tend to listen to you when you tell them yes or no. So you get to look at and say, like, maybe I'm gonna post a picture of my D² with this light blue background. And then maybe I'm going to post a picture of the sun and the bright blue sky, kind of like spinning around. Just something fun and creative to create the juxtaposition of the two, of the hard and the soft. And that's one of the things that you can do, especially with social media, because you've got that sort of grid look to it a lot of times, is alternate or sort of create a pattern.
Sure.
Because the human brain loves patterns, first of all. And second of all, is it doesn't have to be an obvious pattern. It could be light, dark. It could be soft, hard. It could be video picture, like video and still.
But the yin yang, right? The kind of, yeah.
And so the piece of that alternating that pattern is people will then come to your page or profile if they're engaged by a post, and they look at this thing and they're like, oh, that kind of, it's more professional in a way that people don't know that they're looking for. Right. Like you become a more trustworthy brand because people see this thing that makes sense.
That's not my logo, by the way.
Oh,
that's the only one I could make fit for. It's the bottom part of my logo. My logo is actually a D with a arrow that points outward and kind of goes around. And it was made a long, long time ago and probably needs updating. So I appreciate the ideas and the thoughts. The idea of connecting one thing to the next. I really like that. That really helps me focus better and be able to reach out in new ways. Is that what you're saying? You know, that kind of.
And right. Also going back to that third point of like knowing if you're starting a new social media platform, if you're starting a new Instagram, you're not on Instagram, give yourself some grace. It's going to take a second to build a following. You're not going to have 10,000 followers overnight unless you buy them. And if you buy them, it's not worth it. Right. In case you're wondering, if you buy Instagram followers, for the most part, you are wasting your money. The algorithm, there's an algorithm to all social media. Thanks, tech. You reach about 10% of your followers on any given day. So if you have bought 10,000 followers and you have 1,000 real followers, instead of reaching 100 out of your 1,000 real followers, you're going to reach 10 of them, maybe 9, because you have so many fake followers. So really put in the time to find the people. Have any other interests? Anyone who, any questions about a brand or how you would present yourself on social media, even if you don't have like a brand per se? I'm happy to like talk you through it, kind of find your brand with you, or brand. It's kind of a loose term.
Rachel, I have a question because a lot of us think in different ways. First of all, I'd love to hear from some of the younger people, but my guess is some people can come up with a brand and some people come up with what platform to do what with. But for those of us who have no clue where to start, because there's so many social media platforms out there, and I think of it as a stranger landing in Times Square and they don't know what subway to take to what borough. What would you recommend for, maybe somebody here wants to be a guinea pig? Like, could you just do a snapshot of, not everybody should be on Instagram and not everybody should be doing TikTok. Sounds ghastly to me. Actually, I don't get it, but I just wonder if you can pull somebody out of the audience here and work with them on laying it out, kind of like you did with Mary, but some of you shy, quieter folks who are hiding. Well, nobody wants.
A hand or a victim.
Yeah, someone who really, really does need to build their social media presence now, like it's essential for their either college application, graduation, or business. And Adriana did it well, and Mary did it well. Some of you younger folks, Adam also kind of started with it. Forbes?
I'm gonna pick a victim, Brian, my friend.
Brian, oh, there you go.
So, because I was in your shoes about 10 years ago, applying for colleges, specifically looking at drama and acting. Do you have a Facebook?
No. I have an Instagram, Snapchat, and a TikTok.
Okay. Let's talk about your Instagram. What's on it?
It's just mostly pictures of me and like where I go, and also pictures of some of the productions I have done.
Great. That's what I was going to say. Now, the next thing to add to it would be video, because as you start to go to auditions for schools, you're going so what happens for particularly drama schools, anyone who's an actor, is you usually go and you have to audition. They want to see what you can do before they invite you into their elite program. And so knowing who I was at 18 and how nervous I was the first time I auditioned to teach Beer Bar, I know that what I'd walked into that room with was not as good as I am. And you have the advantage that I didn't. Instagram didn't really exist when I was applying to schools. So you can put your acting work, whether it's a scene with a friend or you make a movie of your own, like these little guys can make a movie. It's great. Get creative, write something that you can then post. You can show your acting chops, you can show your creativity. So when you go in the room, regardless of how your performance was immediately, you can say, thanks so much for having me. I've put my social media handle there. I've been working on a project that also really showcases my talent. If you have a second to check it out. It may work, it may not, but you have it there. So the thing is then to think about who you are as an actor. So what kind of roles you would play. And that comes in the piece of like those 3 words. Like, are you a skater? Are you a baseball player, a basketball player? Are you into sports at all or not at all? Are you an artist? Are you a bookworm? Like, are you a video game guy? Like those different types of almost like archetypes, because casting directors aren't the most creative humans in the world. So they'll say like, need 18 to play younger, athletic, all-American guy. All ethnicities, please apply. And that's all you get. And so if those are buzzwords that fit you, then you can start to curate your Instagram to fit that. Because casting also does look at social media now. So people will look at like, oh, Brian came in, he was really great, but I'm just not sure if he fits this, you know, like, is he really LA? I can't tell. And then they go to your social media and they're like, Dodgers, that's it. That's all I needed. Good, we're in. So you've made their decision easier. And oh, by the way, you booked the job, you're gonna make money, how fun. So those are things that you can think about as well. And it can even be something as simple as like you in the jersey that's behind you, or, you know, visiting family out in LA. So the pictures and things that you post regularly are absolutely great. Keep doing that. Being active is one of the other key pieces in social media. If you post once a week, that's not going to do it. It just isn't. You need to do every other day, once a day if you can. And there are things that help you schedule and kind of plan out a calendar. There are tools that help you do that. But as much as you can, the more you put in, the more you get out. It's as simple as that. Did that make sense?
Yeah, that made sense. Thank you.
Cool. And if you, I mean, I will say one of my cousins actually has hashtags for her children's names. So when she posts stuff to Facebook and Instagram, it's basically creating a scrapbook. So if you can come up with a clever hashtag of like BM Ray, that's kind of fun and like snappy. Like, cool, you've got a hashtag. You can hashtag all your stuff. So whether it's a story or a post, or even like you can tell your friends to hashtag you or tag you and stuff, like that's additional engagement. You're reaching other people who didn't otherwise know you. And you can, for example, follow NYU Tisch admissions. You can follow, you know, Cornell, whatever, Pace, all those fun places.
Thank you.
I have a question, Rachel.
Yeah, what's up, Teresa?
Sorry, this is like the worst angle ever. And I'm sorry if I missed this in the beginning. Oh, there's my, sorry. I'm sorry if I missed this in the beginning, but I'm kind of like listening to the conversation. I'm kind of curious about the, like, where you draw the line. Well, I'm considering starting another social media presence on Instagram for a hobby that I'm developing. Mm-hmm. Mostly with the idea that like I don't really want, like I want to be public. I want to be able to connect through hashtags and share stories and that kind of thing. But I don't want like the whole world like seeing my kids or like knowing where I like go get lunch every Saturday or whatever. So could you just talk a little bit, and my husband thinks I'm crazy for wanting another Instagram and like it's so much management. And I just want to know if you could talk a little bit about that, like the line between what's like your personal versus what's maybe a more public presence. Absolutely. So as far as Ben goes, you can tell him to be quiet. I'm logged into 7 Instagrams right now. And just in case you're wondering, that's the max. You are absolutely allowed to start something that is separate from yourself. And in fact, especially for the young folk around here, like the stuff that you want to post that's just for your friends, that your parents don't necessarily need to see. I did that when I was your age. It was on a private profile so that people didn't see it if they weren't supposed to. And then you can have a little bit more of an artistic presence on the one that's public. So exactly like you said, Teresa, like sewing, I'm guessing, yes? So Teresa's been getting into sewing, and so she wants to post the things that she's doing. So Adam, if you don't want to do the horticulture stuff on what you're doing, your drumming on, your acting stuff on, you can absolutely create a second one, and it's plants with Adam. Like it doesn't have, it can be, you are allowed to have 2 separate things always. And in the bio, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, you can always say, I also do this other thing. So, so like mine, RLB and NYC, also an instructor at Pure Bar NYC. So I've got that tag in my Instagram as well. So you can also then connect yourself that way to a brand that's bigger than you. And and that also will help the friends you already have follow the other thing. And if they don't want to follow it, fine, cool. There's going to be lots of other people who love sewing that are going to follow you because they want to do that thing instead. Like, I know I follow people that I don't actually know because I like their fashion choices. Or my favorite is this girl who does all of these Trader Joe's recipes. So things like that, like, they have uses. So if you do want to keep things separate, that's a great way to do it. You have one that's private, personal. People have to request you, whether it's a friend request or a following request on Instagram. That's absolutely a great use for that. And then you can keep it separate of the things that, you know, a college admissions officer might see, as opposed to what your friends can see. And Teresa, do you mind debunking that myth for a second? Do admissions officers look at social media?
Oh, wow. I'm really feeling on the spot. I do not think that the admissions professional that I live with does, but I cannot speak for others who report to him.
Okay. So there you have it. It is up in the air. So your admissions counselor doesn't necessarily need to see what happened at senior week. We'll leave it at that. Yes, Felicia.
Yes, I do love taking pictures, and and I'm always like posting stuff on Facebook half the time. And my friends always tell me, well, why don't you go into photography, because you love taking pictures of friends and families, and when you're always out, you're videoing, and I'm just like, well, I don't know. I just like doing stuff for fun. I don't want to. I was like, I really don't want to make a career. I just like doing it for fun and stuff. It's like, well, no, you can get a lot of money, and I was like, well, yeah, but I don't know. But I'm planning to decide to do my finish up my master's. I'm trying to figure out in what. Probably like liberal arts, because I like liberal arts and stuff. I like to dabble in a little bit of everything. So I like to have a degree that I can have career choices from. So that's just me.
So I would say, if you are not interested in making your photography professional, don't worry about it. You post what you post because you enjoy it.
Right.
That is another one of the things, and that's part of why we started today with getting moving, is that usually movement brings the body to have some joy in some way. And when you share things that you have joy about, you have passion about, and especially when you share your personal story in relation to it, that is when you always get the most engagement. Hands down, no questions asked. If you are in the image or it's your talent on display, always you will get the most out of it. I know Patty will agree with me when she shares pictures of cruises that she has actually been on and she's in front of some beautiful ocean. That's when people like the most, comment the most, and say, where is that? I want to go. So that is liberal art. I have a liberal arts degree. It's great. It's part of what has made me a great writer, even in the social media world, that like I can write a sentence that's 10 words long, say everything I need to say, and it's grammatically correct. That's, it's important. It has to make sense. If it doesn't make sense, then people tend not to engage with it. They just go, huh? Scrolling. So we have time for like one more question. There's anybody who wants to ask one last one? It doesn't even have to be social media or physically related. I'll take any question. Adam, shoot.
When it comes to like post promotion, do you recommend the option that's longer duration, or the option that is like a larger reach within a shorter period of time?
I do both, honestly. So what I'll do is you can, so Instagram, IGTV, the long post, right? Or the post itself, which can only be about 60 seconds. I oftentimes will do, the reason I've been doing both is because I've been using Reels a lot. So Reels is the Instagram version of TikTok. They're trying to compete because they're both businesses. A Reel doesn't count your engagement, your likes, your comments, and all that kind of stuff. So I'll post a clip of the reel as a post, so I still get the engagement and I can track it. IGTV is better in that if you post the whole thing to IGTV, you can share it on your Instagram in your regular grid, and it'll just share a couple seconds of it. So that is sort of an answer to that question, I think. When in doubt, share it everywhere, because why not? You'll either hit people in a story, you'll hit them on their homepage, or you'll hit different people through IGTV or through Reels. You know, there's nothing wrong with cross-pollinating your different platforms with all of the same stuff. You just want to make sure that if you're on a reel and your screen is this, that it fits, and that when you go to the Instagram grid and it's this, it all still fits. You don't want to be like cutting off words because the box has changed. And also one last little tip for the creative amongst you. There's a wonderful, wonderful website that I use daily called Canva, CANVA.com. And it is the layman's version of Photoshop. It is very easy to use. You can make logos, you can put in pictures, you can change textures, you can make it a video, you can do all sorts of stuff with it. That is my #1 social media tool beyond my brain and writing stuff. So I am going to give you guys a little challenge. If you thought of something today that you would actually post it before midnight, and also tag the Knowledge Project and use the hashtag putting your best self out there. That is the way that I'm going to be able to find you, like you, give you a follow, and we all get to boost our communities.
Yes, yes.
And if you have any questions, you can, I'm going to put my email in the chat. You're more than welcome to email me. I am likely going to be doing a more in-depth course in March, and that'll encompass, we'll probably spend one session each on all of the platforms, and we'll talk about the size, and we'll go through Canva and finding your brand, your color, your all that fun stuff.
I'm just hearing you say that that would be extremely useful for people who, you know, that's the interesting thing. People are all over the spectrum when it comes to social media in terms of their knowledge, what they want to do with it. So Rachel, I'm really looking forward to that course.
I just had another thought, Teresa. When you post an individual picture on Instagram specifically, you can post it to the same time at 2 profiles. So if you only wanted to post once, if you wanted to hit your private and your public, you can do that, and you don't have to do multiple things. So you can tell Ben it's not that hard.
Half the work. Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome. Cool.
Meg, do you have anything?
Thank you, Rachel.
You've been working with Rachel. Do you have any other thoughts on?
So follow her direction. Go ahead, take the challenge, and see how many of you, just post something tonight with the hashtag. Start there. Just go ahead and do something. It's all about do it.